Hey there, Fit Fam. Welcome to the only podcast where we're breaking the mold and rewriting the rules. I'm here to debunk the myths, spill the tea, and serve a hefty dose of reality. No matter where you're at in your journey, we've got something for everybody. So buckle up because we're about to unleash the basics in the most unapologetic way possible. From shedding pounds to embracing your inner badass, I'm here to remind you that skinny is so last season and the basics are anything but boring. So grab your favorite piece of protein and your water bottle and get ready to be empowered, entertained, and educated because being a basics bitch has never looked this good. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Call Me Skinny. Super excited to have a special guest here today. And actually, the way I met this special guest is also, we haven't even talked about that before we recorded, but we have obviously been in some same business containers together. That's very apparent. And we just kind of like found our way through some posts and then we started messaging each other. And now we just kind of become Facebook besties where we like message each other about business stuff. So I love it. So Brittany Gatewood, thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited to have you here.
Super excited to be here.
I know. It's so funny. I was like, man, we didn't even talk about that. Like how we even like met or some random Facebook post.
It was just a random message. I saw something that you had posted somewhere along the lines and I was like, hey, let me get the tea.
Yeah.
And then it led to just one thing into another. And now we just go back and forth. And it's kind of cool to have that, like, you know, community over competition. Like I believe in supporting other people and it's cool to hear others like experiences too.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't know everything.
No, we don't. No, we are still learning too. I think that's super important. And she is owner with her husband of Phoenix Transformation. And we're going to get a little bit of dish on what it's like to own a business with your husband as well. Which I'm actually kind of curious to hear about because again, my husband always tries to butt his nose and, you know, dabble in what I'm doing. But first I want you to kind of introduce yourself to my community and audience. Let us know, like, how did you become a coach and like, what is your story? How did you get here?
Oh, I'd love to share this. So, I actually became a coach after having my own transformation. So like most people that get into this field, you know, we make changes, we see the value in it, and we want to help other people do the same thing because we realize how life-changing it is. At my highest weight ever, I was 226 pounds. I'm 5'2", so I'm a shorty. And you know that 226 pounds on someone of my, you know, stature is not healthy. Mm-hmm. It is very unhealthy. And after my son, my youngest child, was born back in 2015, you know, I struggled with my weight. I did drop several pounds after I had him. Obviously, like I birthed a whole baby, you know, so like naturally you're going to lose some weight because some of it's coming out of your body.
Yep.
But I got to a point where I just couldn't like figure it out. And it wasn't until like my year, like his year birthday, when I saw a picture of myself giving him like a bath in the sink. You know how we do like old school, we're like spraying the kids down in the sink.
Yep.
And didn't really recognize myself anymore. Like being overweight was kind of a relatively new thing. It wasn't something I ever struggled with like for my first 21 years. You know, it wasn't until I got into my 20s, got in a bad marriage, got divorced, you know, had another child, got married again. Like I went through these phases where it was like, it was just a stressful time for me. Plus like dealing with trauma from like childhood that you just don't know about. Anyways, I saw that picture and I was like, oh, I know that's me, but I don't recognize that person. I don't feel like that's me. I got to do something. If I don't do something, I'm not going to be able to keep up with my kids. You know, I want to be able to walk with my kid at the park. I don't want to get tired. I want to be able to bend over and tie my shoes without losing my breath. Like all these things that we just, you know, overlook and don't really realize what we're doing to ourselves. So I started walking. I started watching what I was eating, even though I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yep.
You know, like most women that get started, and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I defaulted to? It was 1,200 calories.
Yep. No carbs.
Carbs are bad. Don't eat a bunch of carbs.
Yep.
So I did that. I dropped a bunch of weight and it worked, you know. I dropped like 55 pounds in the first 9 months, which wasn't terrible, but it was a little, it was more than, you know, a pound a week.
Yeah.
Probably more like 2 pounds a week.
Yep.
But eventually like people started coming to me for help. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be helping people, I might as well make something out of this.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to get certified to become a personal trainer, and not realizing that a certification don't mean shit.
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
you learn along the way. So, I got certified, and then about 3 months after I got my certification, I got my first job as a trainer in a big corporate gym.
Boo.
And that's when it started. And from there, like, I worked with them for a year. They screwed me over like corporate companies usually do. And I said, fuck you, I'm out. I don't need you. And I've been on my own ever since.
Yep.
That was in 2018 when I left.
2018. Yeah. I didn't even make it about 3.5 months in a corporate gym. And I was like, this is so negligent. I cannot do this. I've said it before, so I don't really care. I worked for Edge Fitness. They're like an East Coast and they're coming west a little bit. And they just wanted they just were like, here, just tell your client to eat between this and this. And I was like, but why? Well, just tell them that's what most of your clients eat, but that's not true. It was just like awful. And then it's like, they would let people hire me for 30 minutes a week. Sir,
that was like LA Fitness too. I'll say my giant name too. I don't care. LA Fitness, I had more like autonomy with my training. So like they didn't really tell me what to do. I had to figure it all out for myself. I worked with, on Mondays, I would have 25 sessions because they were 25-minute, sessions. So it was like that on Mondays. I would be there from like 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. I would go home for a couple hours and then I'd come back at like 4 and work until 8. So I would just be booked up like multiple days a week. And I did have a lot of great clients, and a lot of them followed me when I came on my own. Yeah. And one of them is still with me, going on 6 years later. And it's not because like she can't do things. It's just because she values the accountability that I provide. And she's like family now.
Yep.
So I don't know. I did learn a lot in that time. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe because I had the ability to run my programs the way I wanted to and teach them what I wanted to, like about nutrition, that it probably wasn't as bad as what yours was. But in the end, they still screwed me, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, we had autonomy with training specifically, but like they required us to give them like our cell phone numbers and that they could reach out to us. And I was like, I'm not getting paid for that. Like, no offense, but like nobody's paying for me if so-and-so, if, Sandy messages me at 4 p.m. and I work from 5 to 10 in the morning, and nobody's paying me for Sandy messaging me, and then I have to coach her through some shit. I was like, that is not okay. But it was legit at the point where like, they just told me nutrition wise, they had some random app that we were supposed to have them track food in. And I was like, I can only see it when I'm at the gym. I was like, this is not helpful. And then it was also about supplements. So they sold supplements. So it's like, just tell them that, so-and-so, your one client, once they started taking a multivitamin, that they, I don't know, they lost all this weight. And that was like the catalyst. And I was like,
yeah, because supplements are the answer,
Yeah, supplements are totally the answer for everything.
Take this one thing and it changes your life.
Just everything. And I'm just like, this is so stupid. So finally, like, I just talked to the manager and I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is really negligent. Like, it is negligent for me as a trainer to tell somebody to eat some random amount of calories and for no fucking reason. Like, it's not even like I would tell them this because I'm getting all their information. Nope. It has nothing to do. I was like, this is so terrible. He's like, yeah, I kind of thought you were going to quit. Oh, okay. Whatever, dude. And then I went to like a boutique gym. And that wasn't any better because it was like CrossFit-y style gym. And it was like, you couldn't correct people's form. It was kind of an upper class, pretty high upper class neighborhood near me. And nobody needed help. They were, I'm not trying to be mean, but they were plastic Barbies. And the guys were just, whatever. They didn't care. They just wanted to be yelled at and like told to do 1,000 things. And so you couldn't correct any form. So you couldn't help people. And I was like, man, I really got into this to actually help people, not just to yell at people or tell them to eat some rando amount of food. Like, this is not what I signed on for at all.
100%. One of my biggest pet peeves as a coach is when people don't correct form for their clients. Like, you let your client post a picture or a video and their form is completely trash. Like, if you're a coach, I feel like you should be reviewing your clients' like exercise technique, because if you want them to get results and not get injured, which is the goal, we don't want to injure our clients. We want them to get stronger. Then you need to make sure that they're doing things right. If they're like, well, I don't feel this in my hamstrings, a deadlift, for example, because a deadlift is probably the biggest, most complicated yet simple exercise. People don't get the concept of hinging versus squatting. So, they're like, well, I don't feel this in my hamstrings, or I feel this in my lower back. And you don't watch the video, like, you don't know what they're doing wrong. You don't know what to cue them on, what to correct. And you see it all the time on social media.
Yeah. I mean, I see even in my gym that I attend now, their trainers are just on their phone anyway. Just like, as I'm watching people do stuff, I'm like, no, Sarah, this is not your job.
This is in my wheelhouse. This is in my face.
This is not your place to shut up. Just shut up. Just walk away. Just shut the fuck up. Just walk away, because it's terrible. And it's like, these people are paying minimum $50+ an hour to be trained, and they're just like, you're not even,
and they're not getting what they're paying for.
No, not even close. Not even close to what we do. And that's where I like the virtual aspect of like being able to have full autonomy of training and nutrition and mindset and like the overall arching things, because no offense, like I said, I can't help somebody training them for 30 days a week. But if I have a client that's struggling outside of the gym, because let's be honest, that's an hour in the gym versus 23 outside of it, we're going to have a lot more problems outside the gym, than we are inside the gym, So it's like,
because what you're doing most of the time is what matters, right? If we're working out 3 times a week, like just a random number, if you're working out 3 times a week, you're getting your workout, and that's great. But what are you doing the rest of the week with your time? Are you sitting on your ass the whole time? Like, are you sitting around snacking, not being mindful, not getting in enough movement? Like, all those things matter way more than the workouts do. And I'm not saying that the workouts don't serve a purpose, but I think a lot of people get in the mindset, well, if I want to lose weight, like, I have to work out. Well, like, that's not really why you should work out. Like, you should work out because you love your body, not because you hate it. Like, you want to get stronger. It's not because you want to, like, you think that the sole purpose of working out is to lose fat, and that's not the case at all.
No. And I think that that's like the biggest thing. It's like, like if I get on a connection call or I onboard a new client, it's like, okay, what are you struggling with the most? Well, I really try to lose weight. I just can't get consistent with training or working out. I'm like, oh, well, that's probably actually not what's going to shift the weight that you're trying to lose. We strength train to keep our muscles strong, to keep our bones strong, ligaments and joints high, get it together, joints strong, to build muscle, to be able to do primal movements like get on the floor, get off the floor, keep up with the kids, kind of like you were talking about a lot, like my story, picking up bags of dog food. Like when my husband's gone, I'm picking up 50-pound bags of dog food. Like nobody's coming into my house to help me do that. And a lot of women my age would struggle with that. And that's kind of scary. It's the strength training piece is important for longevity of life and not just to lose the weight, right? But we are in such a mindset of like, I just need to get smaller. I just need to lose weight. If I could just lose this weight, I would be happy. Let's talk about that. Like, how do you see your clients or potential clients when they're coming to you for help? Like, how do we shift that mindset?
So, baby steps, first of all, because when you throw the book at everybody, they get overwhelmed. They try to do everything at once. They get burnt out. So you want to like stair step and build onto that, like habit stacking. One of the first things, like I don't even touch nutrition at first, for me personally. What I do is I get them in the habit of tracking, and I want to see what they're already logging, what they're taking in. Then we can work on fine tuning their logging skills, make sure everything's done accurately. And then once we have an idea of what they're intaking, that average, we can build from there. Or if they're consuming a lot, we can cut. 9 times out of 10, most people aren't like logging accurately or consuming enough calories to like go into a cut, and they got to do that reversal. We want to be in a good place for fat loss. But one of the first things I work on is movement and then the workouts, because most people in their day-to-day life don't get enough movement.
Yeah.
And if you're complaining about weight loss or fat loss and you get less than 5,000 steps a day, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
It's a big
because
problem.
5,000 steps a day is not a lot.
No.
Of course, like you can increase in baby steps as well. Like I don't want to take somebody that's getting 3,000 steps and be like, here you go, here's your 10,000 step goal, because that's not sustainable. I might go from 3,000 to 4,000. And then when they consistently hit that 4,000, we're going to go up again. And we're just going to keep building on that until the new norm is what should be, like what is, productive and what helps, a healthy life, a stronger life, because walking helps all that as well.
Yeah. And I think like, that these random numbers that keep getting thrown out. This is something I've talked about like numerous times. It's like 10,000 steps and 120 ounces. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. And I know that the statistics that's coming out right now is like 8,000 steps and up reduces your risk of so many chronic diseases. That was supposed to be plural. Diseases. By like a lot, by like 25%, or I don't even remember what the number was. I thought it was just like, whoa. So we don't even have to be continuously aiming for this crazy 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 steps.
An arbitrary number.
Yeah. And it really is. It's just some random number. It's like, where are you at? And let's figure out and make a plan for the next part for you, the next step. It doesn't have to be this random thing. Yeah. Which is.
And the water thing, you always hear, drink a gallon of water. Okay. And I'm like, I've always bucked that system, because that's not,
no,
that's not the case. Like you don't have to drink a gallon of water, and I'm sorry, but like all your fluids count towards your water intake. Yeah. And some people are like, it doesn't count if it's not water. And like, I'm sorry, if you drink a Gatorade Zero or a Diet Coke, like it counts.
Yeah. Well,
it's still fluid,
Yeah, it is still fluid. And I used to be, and I think this is like talking about how like you grow as a coach. Like I used to be that person that was like, yeah, you shouldn't even really flavor your water because then it's not really water. And I was like, yeah, okay. But if I can get somebody to drink something better than just regular pop or something like that by just putting a little Mio in their fucking water, yeah, I'm going to take that Mio drop over that actual like full-fledged pop.
Yeah, the calorie-filled drink, right?
Yeah. Or, Starbucks or
exactly
like whatever. Because, and that's how I used to be, right? But that was me like as this like baby coach where my journey was is like, I did try to go balls to the wall, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I was like, that's not sustainable for me right now, being home by myself when my husband's overseas and I'm running a house and I have 3 kids and this is chaotic. And so so then I would pull everything back and then I would gradually step it up. But I also was under the guise of like, it has to be water. It's got to be water. Yeah. It's got to be just water, and yeah, you grow as a coach. Let's just say.
Yeah, I think 100% you do. One of my big things was eating clean.
Oh.
Like I was that coach, like eating clean, and I still use the term like clean and dirty, like in quotations, because when I say clean, people know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I also don't believe in like good foods, bad foods. I believe that food is like they serve different purposes. Like some food is like nutrients for your body, and sometimes it's nutrients for your soul. Like. Mm-hmm. There's a balance here, and I'm not saying like go eat a bunch of crap, but I'm also not saying like read every label and if it has XYZ ingredients or chemicals, like don't eat it. Like did you know that every food that you consume is made of chemicals? Right. Even a fucking banana.
Yes.
Like go look up the chemical name for the ingredients in a banana. You will be shocked and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I eat this.
Yeah. You won't be able to read half of what's in a banana. Yeah. And then you'll be like, oh, I can't read it, so I can't eat it.
It's a banana.
It's a banana. It's a banana. And I like that's where like, oh God, that's where social media and the internet really gets me going, because it's like you have this whole crunchy community where it's like, you can't eat this and you're not allowed to have that. And did you know that they put pesticides in Oreos? And did you know that they do all these things? I was like, I don't care. I literally did a reel once of me eating an Oreo while some man was yelling about there being pesticide in Oreos. And I just did an overlay of it. Like, I'm just going to continue to eat this Oreo while this man is talking about how terrible they are for you. And I'm not going to die.
And you know what? It's so funny, though, because the same people, the crunchy people that say, don't eat Oreos, they're out getting fucked up and they're drinking every weekend.
Or putting Botox in their body, or doing other ridiculous stuff that it's just like, okay. Or they're using regular cleaning products in their house, or they're using, I don't even know, like they're walking outside and breathing the air. Like, do you know how bad the air is for you right now? It's terrible, right? Okay.
So bad.
Right. So let's just stop breathing. Let's just don't
just hold your breath.
Yeah. If you probably can't read the chemicals that are in the air either. So you might want to just stop.
Yeah. You might want to just hold back, step back a little bit.
Yeah. And, I think that's, even yesterday, somebody reached out to me and she asked me if it's true. Oh, what is it? Okay, so she's got Hashimoto. She was diagnosed in 2018 or something. Oh, hang on. I got like a little thing up there. She was diagnosed in 2018, and she was asking me if I had ever heard if you shouldn't eat kale, because the hearty green superstar can do no wrong unless your thyroid isn't functioning. Kale is a goitrogen. I can't even say the word. Meaning it can actually prevent your thyroid from getting the iodine that it needs to run properly. Now, I do know that your thyroid needs iodine, right? This is not my wheelhouse. Then it lists a bunch of other things like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, radishes, mustard greens, and chard. And so this lady is like, question, like, is this true? And I was super honest. I said, listen, this is a bit out of my scope, but I know iodine is important for the function piece of the thyroid. I was like, what I do know is that my best friend has had Hashi, and then she had thyroid cancer and has had it removed. And she still ate most of the stuff on that list. And this person particularly doesn't take any medicine for that. I was like, great. Right. But I was like, what do your numbers look like? Like, when was the last time your numbers were checked, and how much of that stuff do you actually eat? And she said, oh, my numbers are perfect. I said,
so then,
don't overthink it. She's like, thanks so much for your help. I was like, yeah, no worries. Like, I really wasn't helped. She's like, no, you talked me off a ledge of overthinking what is happening. And then you see these egregious things all over the fucking internet. And then it's like, but why? Why?
And the worst part is this shit goes viral. And then it's like, you're one tiny person combating this viral fucking video. Like, oats Zempic.
Oh God.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oats Zempic, like, really? Come on now.
Right. Yeah. So let's please blend up oats, because somehow and put lemon, whatever. I don't even know.
Lime, whatever the fuck it was. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just kept seeing it. And I was like, I'm not watching that shit.
No.
I don't want this in my feed.
No, exactly.
Also, you shouldn't eat kale because it's fucking disgusting.
There's that. I mean, but also because it is nutritious. If you like it, go for it. Like, there is that part, right? If it's your jam, go for it. I happen to think it's a little bit bitter. I try to stick to like romaine lettuce because it's a little bit more nutritious than iceberg, but it's not so like it makes you want to twitch.
I will eat kale like in soup, but I cannot do like the whole like raw kale. I've tried it.
Yeah,
it's like celery for me. Celery is just one of those things that it's a hard pass for me.
Yeah, it is. And they make it in, what is that? Zuppa Toscana soup at.
Yeah. That's the soup that I make with it.
Yeah, that's where I can get down.
Good.
Yeah, I can get down with that. And let's talk about too, like the 0 point calorie foods, these 0 point for Weight Watchers foods. It's like understanding that you will lose weight in a caloric deficit. That's it, right? If you can't lose weight and you're eating 1,200 calories and you're not losing weight, that's one of two things. One, you're not in a deficit and your metabolism's so fucking deregulated from yo-yo dieting or slashing your calories. Or 2, you're not actually in a calorie deficit, which means you're probably eating like a rabbit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, partial of Thursday. By the time Friday comes, you're a ravenous, trash panda, and you're eating everything in your pantry because you can't handle it anymore.
With either one of those options, if you're not losing weight, period, you're not in a calorie deficit.
Correct.
Like you're saying, and the metabolic adaptations that happen from hardcore dieting and the effects of that long term, people don't really understand that, you can't just diet indefinitely for the rest of your life and have no repercussions for it. That's when you start getting these hormonal issues and you're sick all the time and your gut's fucked up, you got to take care of these things, and dieting long term, depriving your body of the nutrient and the fuel that it needs, is not going to help those issues.
No. And that's why everybody's like, I must be perimenopausal because I can't lose weight, or I must be this because I can't lose weight. I was like, or you have treated your body like trash for the last 30 plus years, and you just need to drink some water, eat some protein, move your body, manage your stress, and get some fucking sleep, which is what I focus on, right? Because I'm like, you're not fixing your hormones if you cannot drink water, something.
The basics, bitch.
Right, exactly. Exactly it, right?
But seriously, nobody wants to do that. It's not fun. It's boring.
Oh.
The basics are boring.
Yeah, they are granny panties. They're granny panties, and nobody wants granny panties every time. And I always talked about this too, like how you said you can't be on a diet forever. I swear on my life, I've been on a diet from the time I was 8 or 9 years old until I was 32 and started actually understanding what the F I was doing. I was literally probably on a diet. I probably dieted every Monday. I started a diet or tried to do something or decided, today I'm going to try to go run because that's going to help me lose weight. So I would go do that. I was like, well, that's effing terrible. Fuck that. I am who likes to run? Literally my nephew just.
I run.
Okay. Well, you're a weirdo. And maybe this is our friendship's over. I'm not sure what to say about that. But my nephew just moved here to Michigan from Oklahoma, all over the place technically. But anyways, that's a whole different story. And he's he does track, and he runs fast. And I was like, why are you running? If I'm running, you had better be running. You better run. If I'm running, you better run. That's how I am with running.
I have a love-hate relationship with running, and, I torture myself with it every year. I fundraise for St. Jude.
Okay, that's
the
fair.
St. Jude main campus is here in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I'm located, and they have the Memphis Marathon weekend. It's every December. It's a big event, and it's a big fundraising event for St. Jude. So I participate in that every year. And this year, I went a little crazy and signed up for the full marathon. I've never ran one before. The furthest I've ever run is 14 miles. So, that's going to be fun. And I'm turning around. Anyways, yeah, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it is going to be
have
terrible.
Lots of snacks.
Yeah. Lots of snackies. Yeah. I did a half marathon once when I lived in Alaska. We were stationed there, and they do a run in Anchorage. And I had a friend who I actually coach now. She was like, let's do this half marathon. I was like, okay. I don't run. I don't even like to run. Put me in a pool, I'll swim forever. But running is not my thing. I did not train appropriate for it. I ran 9 miles. I stopped, and then I could not start to run again. My body just started shutting down. Then I couldn't decide if I had to throw up or poop or just exactly what. When that was over, my body felt like absolute dog shit. And I was like, never again. But that was just after I did Weight Watchers. So I was not fueling my body remotely close to what I should have been for a half marathon. Because I didn't know. I was just trying to be small. I was like, the marathon will help me lose weight. Thank you. And then, and then I started teaching again in Anchorage, and I just started eating a whole pound of Twizzlers every day because I was so unhappy in my marriage. And so that's what I did.
That'll happen.
And then
an unhappy marriage or an unhappy home life will definitely do that.
So then I just ballooned right back up. All of my students asked if I was pregnant. I was like, nope, just fat. Thanks. I love you so much. I love children.
Kids have no filter. I never forget my son. I was sitting on the couch one day, and I was wearing a tank top, and this bra fat, the back, where your lat comes in and spills over your bra, right? And he was grabbing it, and he's like, it's so squishy. And he was 3 years old. And I'm like, thanks, son. Glad I can entertain you.
It's with my back fat. That's so epic.
Yeah.
That's so epic. So one thing I want to talk about, since we're talking about like marathons and training, I often talk a lot about, I often preface some things like, unless you're wanting to get stage lean. If you're wanting to get stage lean, that's a different situation, right? So you do that. You've done that. You're in process of getting stage lean again to go compete. So can you talk a little bit about the experience, you know, during and even after as you come out of a stage lean process? Because I feel like, not that I probably have a lot of listeners that do that, but I also feel like I reference being stage lean often. And I just don't think that maybe my listeners understand the kind of discipline, what it takes, what it's like to compete in when you're doing like bodybuilding or physique. Yeah.
So being stage lean, when you think of a fit model or you see that Instagram influencer that has really defined abs and they're really ripped and you see all the lines in their legs and their shoulders, that is pretty much what stage lean is. And that look is not a realistic look year round, because what you do going through that process is extreme and it's not something that is sustainable. Of course, there are some genetically gifted people that can maintain a look like that year round without suffering. I'm not one of them. I am not genetically gifted at all.
Amen.
If anything, I am genetically ungifted.
Amen.
So when you go through like a prep process for a bodybuilding competition, you want to get on stage and do a bikini contest. Okay, this is what we're talking about here. And it's not an uncommon goal. A lot of people, you know, they see bikini competitors and they're like, I'd like to do that once in my life. And, you know, it's their goal, but they really set that goal. They don't really have any idea what goes into it. You know, in order to prep, first of all, in order to start the process to get stage lean, you have to have the basics down. So like Sarah said, you know, you have to be sleeping, you have to be drinking enough water, getting in enough movement. You have to have a solid workout routine, not an excessive one. You have to be okay with taking your rest days. Getting enough sleep is definitely a priority. And you have to have all these things mastered before you even go in. On top of that, you also need to be eating enough calories, because in order to lose weight, like we were talking about, you have to be in a calorie deficit. In order to keep losing weight, you have to stay in a deficit. And in prep, what you're doing is methodically, you start at 1 calorie intake and then you're methodically dropping that throughout the whole process. Your first time that you do a prep, it's a long time. Or if you're like me and genetically ungifted, you might be prepping for a year.
Yeah.
You know, with diet breaks in between. That's key there. It's not a year straight of dieting. Like I'm dieting, break, diet, break.
Yep.
Like there's a routine to it. But if your calories are not in a good place, then you don't have anywhere to cut. And then you're doing hours upon hours upon hours of cardio, and that's not fun.
No.
You will end up doing a lot of cardio anyways, more than likely, because it's part of the process. But most people in prep will work out anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week, usually 6 to start with for some people, and then it gets less the closer you get to the show, because your body gets really stressed and you're trying to minimize stress as much as possible.
Yep.
Cardio is one of those things that increases as your food decreases. So basically, you're doing a lot more shit with a lot less energy, and it's prep brain, like fog. Your brain doesn't function properly. You know, you do things that you're like, why the fuck did I just do that? I took my son before I homeschooled them. It was my first prep, 2021, and I was taking my son to school, and there's like a horseshoe that you like drive through and you like drop your kid off at the door. Well, I went to go drop my son off at school, and I just drove right on through the horseshoe. Didn't even drop my kid off. Like I was just taking a leisurely stroll through the school horseshoe. You know, I get to the end, and my son's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, why didn't you say something 30 seconds ago?"
We'll just like do laps. We'll just do laps.
Yeah, like I had to go and get back in line and do it all over again. But your brain just doesn't function properly because you are like low food and you're expending a lot of calories. And as a result, hormones get jacked up. Your immune system gets weak. You get sick all the time, which is why a lot of bodybuilders take a lot of supplements, because we really have to bridge that gap between food and like what you're missing. So that's what supplements are meant to do. They're meant to fill in those gaps of things that you may be missing in your diet.
Yep.
And when your calories get extremely low, that happens. And it's not uncommon in the bodybuilding world and for women to get under the 1,200 calorie range.
I was going to ask, what was the lowest you've ever been for a prep?
1,100 for weeks with my cardio at 2 hours times 7 days.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is why this is not for me, because I would never make it. What kind of mentality? Because let's talk about that. Like, we talk about, the brain, the mindset, everything. What kind of mentality do you have to do a prep like this? What kind of you have to have some grit in you.
100%. And that's really what it is grit, and it's drive and discipline. So I'm the type of person, when I set my mind to something, I'm going to do it. Just like with this marathon, just like with a prep, like whatever I set my mind to, I'm going to do it. And I know that it's not going to be easy. I know it's going to be hard. Part of the satisfaction in the process is going through with it and proving to myself that I can do hard things. And it's just like, okay, I can do this. It's like a mental pep talk. Some days I'm crying. Like, this is so hard. Why do I do this? Mm-hmm. But I choose to do it. That's the thing. It's a choice. If you're going to commit to it, then you got to commit to it. You can't allow your excuses to get in the way. You can't make excuses. You have to go into it knowing it's going to be hard. It's going to suck, but that's the process. That's why it's hard, and why only 1% of the population can do it.
Mm-hmm. And I say that translate, that kind of mentality also translates into just a regular, I don't want to say regular, like it's not a big deal, but just a regular transformation. If you're a person that has constantly struggled with your weight, that's the same mentality that you have to have during that process. I do group coaching. We talked about this on my call last night, which was like, you have to wake up every day, make a choice every single day. 8 years later, here I am. I had to wake up this morning at 5:15 because I had to get my check-ins done, and I don't want to have to deal with it later. And I had to get 2 podcasts uploaded and sent out, and I had to do and we have this interview today, right? But I'm also leaving in the afternoon. So I told my husband, I have to be up tomorrow at 5 to get to the gym on time, to get home on time, to get my shit done and handled. Yep. And he was like, okay, right? You have to wake up every single day and make a choice to do this. It's not, even in prep or not in prep, it's like, this is part of the process, is shit being hard. It's not going to get easy. Like,
you have to remember why, right? Like, I always say that, like, your why, people will always say, like, my motivation, I'm not motivated, blah, blah, blah. Like, motivation never stays. First of all, it's a come and go type thing. Like, you're going to have times where you're on and you're off. But if you remember why you're doing something, and not just like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, that's a bullshit ass why. I want to know why you want to lose 10 pounds. And if you're like, well, so I feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Like, you're going to ask yourself why 5 times. And when you get to that 5th one, you'll probably have the real why.
Yep.
And that's what you need to keep at your forefront. So if it's like, I want to live healthier for my kids. Like, I want to live to be, older. Like, I don't want to die young. Like, you want to remember that. If you're going through prep and you're like, I want to prove to myself that I can do this, to prove what I'm capable of, then you need to remember that you're doing this to prove to yourself. Mm-hmm. Fuck everybody else. It's about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's about you in this process, and you have to remember those reasons why you're doing something. Just like going to work every day. Nobody wants to go to work every day.
No.
Nobody wants to get up, do these things. But guess what? People get up and go to work every single day, even though they don't want to, but won't find the time for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, and part of that is, you have to make money. You have bills to pay. This is part of the process, right? So, and you're not motivated. I was not motivated this morning to get my ass out of bed and go do that. I was not motivated. It's not like, and I think that people have this very false sense of what we do is like, oh, you probably just wake up like a fucking peach and just jump out of bed at 5:10 and are like, yes, I get to go to the gym. No, that's why I look like a hot mess express 92% of the time, because I'm not motivated to do any of those things, but it's like, I have a very sedentary job. Again, being on this side of a coaching experience, it's like we do a lot of sitting, we do a lot of check-ins, a lot of content, a lot of writing, we podcast. These are all things that we do sitting. We don't do these things walking around all the time. Some people, like if you have a walking pad and whatnot, but my desk is not raised, so I don't have that. But it's like, I don't even know where I was going with that. Making a choice. Yeah. I was like, where was I going? Making a choice to get up every single day and handle your business. It's like, I don't necessarily want to do it every day, but I do it.
I'm an early bird too. I get up at 3:45, 4 days a week, and 4:30 like the other days. Like Sunday is the only day that I actually try to sleep in, and 9 times out of 10, I'm still up before 5 o'clock. And, 3:45, I'm not motivated to get up at 3:45. I have to go to bed early to get up at that time because I prioritize my sleep, which means I put the phone down, I turn off the TV, and I go to sleep. I'm usually in bed by 7:30. My kids are also early birds, like my son is 9. He'll put himself to bed. Like he's like, okay, mom, I'm tired. I'm going to bed at 7:30, that's just our thing. Like that's what we do in our house, and we prioritize sleep. When it comes time to get up in the morning, I get up at 3:45 so that I can have coffee and be awake for my training session. I work out with my girls, and my husband, a few times a week, at 4:45. Well, right after that, I have to eat my breakfast so that I can be ready to train my first client of the day because I train in person. In between those gaps, I'm getting in my steps or doing my cardio. Like today, I woke up at 3:45. We worked out at 4:45. We're done by about 6. And then from 6 to 6:30 or 6:45, I walked, got my steps in because, again, like you said, sedentary day. Like I'm going to be purposeful with my movement. I'm going to walk as much as I can when I can. So I got some steps in. I ate my breakfast. I did my cardio, trained a client, and then, got in the shower. I was like, here for you. And that's just like routine, like you have to get uncomfortable to be successful in life. And that comes with anything. That comes with your job, your goals, your passions. If you don't get uncomfortable and push in the process, like you won't go anywhere with it. You don't just sit on your ass and expect a promotion to come to you.
Right.
Like, I don't know why people think that, you can just sit on your ass and expect your results to come to you, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I always say it's a level 2 effort with a level 10 expectation.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing.
It's you're getting what out of it, what you put into it, which typically, if you're only putting in a level 2 effort, you're only going to get level 2 results. You're not getting level 10, but you're going to be upset. You're going to be mad. You're going to be pissed off that, well, why isn't this working? Well, what effort level? And that's a question I do on my check-in with my one-to-one clients. It's like, what was your effort level this week? And it's not about, some weeks are not going to be great, right? Some weeks you may only have, like, I'm going to be super honest. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and my daughter got this super nasty allergic reaction from gel polish. And it literally it was draining. Monday, she woke up and both sides of her face, like one side looked like it had burn marks on it. And then this other, it was awful. This other side was like just straight red. It's like awful. And her hands were bad. And so like Monday, it was just a lot of like trying to figure out what the F is going on. What is the ingredient that we're missing? Like, what is happening here? Getting her on some high doses of Benadryl, trying to figure it out. That didn't work. Finally, by Tuesday afternoon, she was getting like super itchy, and I was like, okay, we have to go get something stronger. We went and got a steroid. But the point of it is, by Thursday, I was effing over it. I was drained. My energy was tanked. My mood was tanked. My capacity for anything was tanked. So my level of effort that was able to go into all these extra things that I normally do, like getting my kids to and from swim. I just didn't care. I said, nobody's going to swim. I don't really care. I don't care. We're not doing it. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I was supposed to do a podcast that week. I tried to get out of it for the other podcast that I run. It didn't happen. And guess what ended up happening? I told this on my podcast last week, but I did not hit the record button.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Which
I've
I
totally done
knew
that.
which I've only done twice. And I knew this was going to, like, I basically told him, like, look, I'm not gonna be able to show up. Like, I'm not in the right frame of mind for this. Again, it's like boundary setting. Like we talk about, like sometimes you have to
Mhm.
stick to your boundaries, even though you're going to disappoint other people, you're going to still disappoint them because you're not able to give your best. That's ended up what I did was I didn't hit the record button. So I wasted my time, their time. And I was like, this is why I didn't want to do it. Right. So my level of effort was like a 9, even though I felt like I wasn't able to give a lot that week. But it's because that level effort of 9, I gave literally basically what I could to what I could.
Yep.
You
If
know?
you have 60% to give and you give all 60%, you gave
Correct.
100% of your day,
Yes, that's
of your effort.
Yes, and that's what I try to get my clients to see. It's like, oh, well, I have this and I have that and I have this and I have that. I was like, oh, so this level 2 effort that you rated yourself for 1% better really should be like 8, 9, or 10 because you did literally what you could do. You didn't like you weren't making excuses for shit. It's like this is my week this week, and just
Yep.
accepting like, hey, not every week is gonna look perfect. Like,
Yep.
it's just not.
I had a client a couple weeks ago. One of her family members, went into the hospital. Her dad went into the hospital, and she was having a really rough week. And she's like, I wasn't on with my nutrition. She's like, I did get a couple workouts in, but I wasn't sleeping enough, so I didn't want to like risk injuring myself. And she was just like in her head about it. And I'm like, you have to meet yourself where you are in that moment, right? Like you have to give yourself grace and understand that every week isn't going to be 100% perfect. Like this is why this is so hard because things like this happen. A family member gets sick, a kid hurts themselves. You have to do this or you have to do that. Like these things come up and it's a part of life. You have to learn how to navigate through that stuff instead of just stopping everything completely because it got hard. Like you do what you can because that's what you have available to give, right? You can't like expect to hit all your workouts perfectly, hit your food perfectly, when you have all of this stuff going on. Because let's be honest, like in those type of situations when somebody you love is like in the hospital and it was like a scare, like what are you going to do?
Right.
Because if it's somebody you're close to, you're probably going to be sick to your stomach because you love this person so much that you're stressed, but you still got in 2 workouts out of 4 that week. I'll take it. That's 100% for me.
Right. Exactly. And something, we talk about a lot with my clients, even in group coaching, is I always kind of correlate it to, did you ever watch American Gladiators like back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always relate this to the jousting, right? You get the little jousters up there, and life is like the, I don't even know what it's called because I don't know anything about jousting, but life's that little thing that comes and bats you off the thing, right? And then you're like, whoa, you're trying to like hold on. Okay, you get your steady ground, and then it's like whack, and it's like, like that's literally this process.
Yeah.
It's literally this process. And every time that you try to get back up after life keeps knocking you down, you just keep getting back up versus just falling off. Quotations, falling off, because that's the words we use, right? I fell off the wagon. I fell off the horse. Well, girl, get back on. Okay, because I was drugged by the horse a lot, but I didn't fall off completely, right? And it's just a matter of like how fast can you catch your balance again? And that's what the job becomes. It's not about losing your balance. It's about how quickly can you get back on that whatever platform thing is called and stabilize yourself again and get ready because shit's coming back. It's coming back. It's going to whack you again.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good analogy. Yeah. Life do be slapping you in the face something.
It does. It absolutely like completely does that. So let's chat about real fast, like what's your bread and butter as far as like who you help. And, I think that we, just from talking, we are very similar in our methodology, even for coaching. Because we are very much like meet you where you are and then like let's move up from there. So that's what I typically do as well. Like I still have a client, she's just now getting into carbs and we're almost 6 months in and she's just starting to pay attention to like, let's track our carbs. And she's seen great success, lots of inches, has lost weight, like great, awesome. So I'm just curious, like what's your bread and butter with who you work with?
So I love working with women, obviously. Like I'm a woman, I can relate to women. I've been a bigger woman. I've been out of shape. Like I can relate to a lot of the struggles that my clients have. I love working with women that are like 35 to 65. I am more like, let's work with somebody who wants to be strong and improve the quality of their life versus I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to lose 50 pounds. Like, that's great that you want to lose 50 pounds, but like, I need more than that because this isn't going to work if all you want out of this is to lose 50 pounds. Like, it's got to be deeper than that. Like I was kind of saying, like your why, you know? Like my favorite clients to work with are like older women approaching retirement age. And, you know, like my long-term client, the one that's been with me since my gym, you know, corporate gym days, she's been with me for going on 6 years and she's 66 and she is amazing. Like she is so strong. She can do her garden, like lift all the soil bags, squat down. She can walk 25 to 30,000 steps at Disney without having to break. Like she is keeping up with the youngest, you know, like her grandkids are all young. She can bench press her grandkids like that. She is motivation for me. Like I want to be like that when I'm 66, you know? I love working with those type of clients that really do want to improve like their life. They're not just thinking right now, they're thinking later down the road too, because this isn't just about right now. What you do now will dictate the life you live later.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy working with more mature women. Of course, like there are some outliers and stuff, and I do have clients that, you know, compete, but I wouldn't work with them if they hadn't worked with me like already.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you just helped a client, right? You just did a show with a client.
Yeah. So that client is actually she's one of my assistant coaches now. She came to me as a stranger from TikTok. You know, she was a vegetarian. Like it was a big journey, and we just got really close over the years. I competed in 2022, and she got really motivated, wanted to compete. So she had been doing the work to get her calories up. She had been lifting consistently. I was like, let's do it. You know, let's compete in a natural show. Like, let's go for it. And she did it. She loved it the first time, and we just kept building on that. And, you know, it's great. Like, I love doing that with people that I know, like their body, and I know that they've done the work necessary. I know where their mindset is, but it's not like my forte all the time. Like, I wouldn't want some random competitor to be like, hey, will you coach me? No, I won't.
Gotcha.
You know, like, no.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I think that's important because like, as you're talking about, like, even now, it's like some of these coaching containers that we've been in, I don't know all the ones that you've been in, but I know what I've been in. I know one that we've been in together. And at this, like, it's just like, do anything that you can just to get this client. Just do whatever you can. Just promise them the moon, the stars, the things, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, you have to pull this client in, and then you have to like pull them to like show up for themselves. And it's like, I no longer am pulling a client in. If you're not ready to say hell yes, it's not like you're a hell no, but it's like, you're not ready yet. Right.
I am not a hard seller. No. I will not hard sell my services because if you are not 100% sold on it before you speak to me, it will never work.
Correct.
And I am not expending my energy doing that anymore. Like I've done that in the past. It doesn't work. No. 99.9% of the time, it doesn't work. People don't need you to convince them to get healthy. They need to convince themselves.
Yeah. And I think that's like a huge piece of it, which is, you know, why I say that, like that doubling of like, when you have somebody that asks you, hey, I want to do a prep show. I want to prep for a show. It's like, you have to know like that client because you don't get to be this whole like 80-20 lifestyle. You don't get to, I mean, that's a realm of which you don't get to have off days or off weeks or off months. It's like, if you have to be on it every day, all the time. Like there's no options. That's hard.
And there's so much. So like, I know that like you don't know like a whole lot about like the whole stage lean process and everything, but there is so much trash that goes on like with bodybuilding coaches and athletes. And there's a lot of disordered eating and even eating disorders and just unhealthy practices. Mm-hmm. We were kind of talking about this earlier and then we went off on our little tangent.
We did.
But it was like, you know, like bodybuilders, these fit influencers, they're not the epitome of health. Like these are not people that you should be like, I want to look like that. Like you want to look like that, there's a cost to it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Definitely a
it's,
sacrifice.
yeah, it's not something that I want to deal with all the time. Like it's like coaches that I've had in my own personal, like I've had some good coaches. Like I've had two coaches. But you know, a lot of bodybuilding coaches are just like, here's the plan, just do it. You know, like it's not customized. It doesn't address like their weaknesses in their body. Like if you're a wellness competitor and, you know, like maybe your right leg is not symmetrical with your left leg, like in your back pose, like your hamstrings, your glutes, you know, like a lot of coaches won't address that. They'll just give you like a plan, like here you go, execute it. Um, a lot of them do tweak like macros, or they'll at least give you like meal plans throughout, which is a whole nother thing because you're not even supposed to do meal plans,
Nope.
coach, you know? But like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's
Yep.
just one of those things like I have no desire to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like I want those calls like, hey, I walked 30,000 steps today, or I got on the airplane and I was able to put the suitcase in the overhead bin by myself, you know, because that was a client win also.
Right.
And, you know, just I like those things. I like those wins. Like
Yeah.
I want that stuff. I don't want to, I mean, vanity is cool. Like being able to look your best, like your best. When
Right.
you look your best, you're going to feel the worst.
Remember that, guys.
Yeah. I'm not even
takeaway.
kidding. Like I've been 226 pounds. I've also been 135 pounds. And let me tell you how miserable I was to get to that 135, 1,100 calories, 2 hours of cardio a day, egg whites, asparagus for dinner. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like,
Yep.
there's a huge sacrifice there. And then the reversal process is a whole other ball
Yeah.
game too. And it's really hard. And I'm not good at it. I suck.
Right.
So
Well, and
I like, because your hunger hormones, you know, your leptin, your ghrelin, they're jacked up and fresh.
yep.
So when you finally start eating, you literally like I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Like I would just eat, and my hunger hormones, like that stuff, my fullness, the leptin or whatever, right? It's
Mhm.
leptin, just the
Mhm.
fullness one. It wouldn't kick in until I was miserable and bloated, you know. And I mean, I put on 40 pounds after my last show. And I'm slowly coming back down after almost 2 years. But I took that time. I was like, I'm not dieting. I have no, like, I don't want to do it. I
Yeah.
can't do it. You know, I have nothing in me. Like, I need a break.
Yeah, there was
So,
just a show. I saw a couple people I know that did it in Grand Rapids, in Michigan. And you know, you do the infamous like giant cookie after your show, and you do all these
I
things
love that.
because you couldn't, you know, eat all these things. And I do believe that's where some of this disordered eating like stems from out of these shows, because it's like you've suppressed, and you're eating like bare minimum. And then you like all of a sudden, like you said, kind of swing that opposite way where it's like, now I can't get enough. And it's really also probably not good for the body. I don't know how long it took you to put on those 40 pounds, but I know I did a bulk and I didn't trust myself in a bulk because again, I'm really good at losing weight. And I put on 30 pounds in about 3 months, and she took my calories, about 1,200 additional in about 2.5. Well, I would say maybe more like 6-7 weeks. I was eating 1,200 additional calories by that time. And it was just like so fast. And, you know, getting into that headset or the kind of like that head, I don't mindset, I guess, of like, I know better. Like I know that this is not okay. I know that this is too many calories, too fast, too soon, but I did it anyway because like, yeah, I'm going to eat. I've been quote unquote good for the last 4 years, and I maintained my 80-pound weight loss. So yeah, I want to eat now. Like, yeah, this is fun. I'm getting super strong in the gym, you know? And so I swung that opposite way too. And now I also am kind of slowly trickling back down very slowly.
and I think that's important, you know, in this too, to understand that there's going to be ups and downs. And when you go from being restrictive and you do, like, I think that's where my mess up is like, I have the big cookie, I have a burger or something like that, you know, and it's really hard to like rein it back in you know what I'm talking about. Like, I generally eat like more wholesome foods, and my body does really well with that. If I eat something, if I eat fast food or I eat something that's really like heavy in sugar, my body, like, I get inflammation. Like,
Yep.
I know that about my body. I feel it. I know it. I see it, like, I know that. And I think that's where I've messed up in the past, is like going from this extreme to having that big cookie. And that's like the trigger, right? So my body's like, oh yes, we're not in a famine anymore. Like, store, store, store. You like the chipmunks with the chunky
Yep.
cheeks, like they're getting ready to hibernate for the winter. Like, that was like my body is like, store, like, we need all of this, like, stuff it all in. So, I think, I know this time my husband and I have already talked about this, because we're prepping together again, and we're not doing a cookie this time. Like, we have already said that, and we're speaking it to an existence,
Yep.
like, we're gonna ease on out of it, because I think this is my last hurrah. I don't think I got another one in me after this. Like, I'm about to be 36 in a month or so. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Like,
Yep.
my body aches. My hair is like really gray.
Same.
Like, I just don't want to keep doing that. Like, it's been fun. It's been a great experience, but I just want to help other people do shit now.
Yeah. When is your show? When do you guys do it?
So we're probably going to do like next May, because realistically, because I did put on so much weight. Granted, like, I wasn't at my peak when we started this a few weeks ago. But I still have about like 35-ish pounds.
Yeah.
Which is doable.
Yep.
In a year, with breaks, with a marathon period in there, because when I start training for the marathon, I'm not going to be cutting. Like, I'm going to be fueling my body.
Right.
Because I'm not running 26.2 miles eating poverty calories. It's just not happening.
No. I know my my one client that I have, that's a marathon runner, the one that did the half marathon with me in Alaska. She loves to run, but she has like chronic inflammation right now. And so like, I'm just like, cause she is one of those that like legitimately undereats. And so we've just been really focusing on moving her calories up. And she's like, man, I really want to run. I really want to do this, but she wants to cut some weight. I'm like, well, we're not quite at a cut phase yet. Like, be patient. We're going to get there. I hear you. And then we were talking about fueling, and I'm really like, I don't do any of the marathon training per se, but I know how to fuel for the marathon training. And so I had I had a different client actually do the New York Marathon this last November. And he was like, this was the best my digestion's ever been. This is just, I felt amazing. Like, I was able to fuel, like, holy crap, and we dropped about 10 pounds on him before we started the training itself. And he's tall, he's 6'5" or something crazy like that. So he's super tall in general. But yeah, when I was telling her, like, this is his experience after learning how to properly fuel his body for this kind of training, she's like, I'm so excited. I'm like, exactly. Like, that's the whole point, is to like, this process yes, the marathon training itself is going to be shit, right? Your prep, it's going to suck. Like, it's going to suck. But the process of it, and understanding like, why are you even choosing what you're choosing, and why do I need to fuel this way during a marathon training? Why do I need to fuel this way specifically for some kind of prep? Or like, I did a powerlifting meet back in December. That was the first time I ever did that. Why do I need to fuel this way for a powerlifting meet specifically? And understanding this, that, and the other. And then like, as you're talking about going through these phases, like, diets there should be a phase to things. Like, there should be a rhyme and a reason to what we're doing. And it doesn't mean that we always have to be having this goal that's like specific. Oh, I'm going to get on stage. I'm going to do a powerlifting meet. I got to do a marathon. But you can have these same kind of phases going in and out of just general health. And we should be.
100%. I agree with that. Like, there's cuts and bulks and like everyday life. It may not be to the extent that it would be if you were training for something,
right? But
the bulks are when you give your body a break, or you at least go to maintenance, so that your body can come back to like homeostasis, like everything can regulate itself, digestion, hormones, immune system, like all that stuff. Like, there's a reason for it, and it's a good one, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not alone here in your little journey of life. You can hear all the things that we still deal with. And again, all these fit influencers or fitfluencers or whatever you want to call them on Instagram that make it look like they just get to like lay by, you know, the beach in Bali and drink their little mojito. This is real life actually for us. This is what we do. So, but I just want to thank you for coming on here. I'm glad we got to finally do this. Because like I said, we talk almost like every day at this point. It's like, send me a message. Like, okay. Which I love. Like you had mentioned, like, it's really nice to be in a space where somebody's like, hey, try this, or hey, how is this going for you? Or hey, can you help me with Group Boss? Because it's still not connected to my Facebook group. Like, hey, help me with all these things, right? Like, it's just nice to have this kind of idea bouncer where it's not like we're fighting or competing against each other, but it's like we want each other to be successful. And like I said, like I only know you on Facebook, but it's like I care about you. I care about your business. I care about how things are going for you. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome.
It was a good conversation. Good. It was a long one.
I know. They tend, like I said, I just continue. We just talk. We just keep going, and we just talk. I can't.
That's how it's supposed to be, though. I don't like the super scripted stuff. We're not super scripted.
We are not scripted. We have
bullet points or a few notes, but that's it.
Yeah, like literally I took down like a quarter of a page of notes. That's it. And we just talk. So, all right, you guys, if you are interested, group coaching is still available. You can get the link in the show notes. And then obviously applications for one-to-one coaching is also available. I just wanted to say thanks for listening today. And I will catch you on Friday No Filter. Thanks so much for listening today. If you laughed, learned, or just felt the vibe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support keeps this ass train chugging along. If you're ready to embrace the basics with a twist, follow me on social media. Links are in the show notes, and let's see the ways we can work together. All right, basics bitches, you're not just listeners, you're part of the revolution. Remember, skinny's out, basics are in, and you're looking damn good doing it. So until next time, stay basic.